Welcome to Shelaborate. I'm Kath.
And I'm Kyra. This is our podcast for the girls, from the girls.
We're telling our stories, hyping up women who inspire us, and shelaborating every step of the way.
It's time to give you the girl talk you've been waiting for. Let's get into it.
Welcome back, Shelaborators.
Hello. This is episode 4.
Four.
And we have our friend here with us. We introduced her in our first episode as Zinnia. Could you introduce yourself for our listeners?
I'm Paige, and then it's my dog Bailey.
Hi, welcome to the
Hello.
show. So our friend Paige is originally from Idaho. And I feel like everyone I meet from Idaho, it's like the first person I meet from Idaho.
Yeah, I mean, like, growing up there, obviously behind me, you can kind of see how it shaped the activities that I do right now.
For those of you listening, Paige leaned away from her computer screen so we could see a bike hanging from her ceiling, another bike parked behind her chair, and a triple stack of helmets on her shelf.
But I grew up in a town called Coeur d'Alene, which is, I mean, like, people have a really hard time spelling it. It's French. If you haven't already, like, seen pictures of it or even heard of it, if you Google it, it's gorgeous. It's just, like, mountains and lakes and just, I mean, it's like an outdoorsman's paradise.
If you are curious, Coeur d'Alene is spelled COEURD''ALENE. Definitely French.
Growing up, we would do basically anything you could imagine, like outdoors, and anything that was, in a manner of speaking, like adrenaline rush too, especially for a kid. Like, we would definitely do it. Like, initially, I grew up with horses. And so we live on 5 acres. And so growing up, I was surrounded by horses. And even as like this little kid, practically in diapers, we would be riding the horses around and like showing horses and stuff. One horse show I did, it was like you dress up as, it's just like a costume. I was a rodeo clown, and we put little foam horns on my horse.
Okay, when you say a rodeo clown, what do you mean? Because I know I'm not the only one picturing like a clown.
Yeah, but it's like also like a entertainment factor in like the scheme of things, because they actually dress up as like clowns. But their job is to save like so if like a cowboy gets bucked off a bull or a bronco, then they go and distract the animal so like the cowboy can get out of the arena. But that was like normal. Like, my sister and I would go to this place that like we went to all the time to ride. And there's this literally a giant like manure mountain. So literally just like horse and we would run up it and sled down during the wintertime. So we literally play on poop as like our downtime. Horses got to be too expensive just because like it's so expensive maintaining just like the feed and then like taking care of them, etc. So we switched to dirt bikes. So that was like a big conversion. And so my first dirt bike was a little like PW50. And that thing is the size of like, think of like a little kid like tricycle. And it's literally the size of that, but it's a dirt bike.
That's sick.
Started on that little thing. And then like eventually like growing up, it just progressed to now, like I still have a dirt bike. It's just in Idaho, but now I go back and forth between, mine is a 350 and then my dad has a 450. So that puts it into perspective that like I started on a 50.
Were you racing them or just riding for recreation?
Just riding for recreation. I did like, we would go to tracks and it's just open to the public to ride on it. And so we would like just go and ride on the jumps and everything. So that was like a big part of our life. And it still is. Like, my sister still rides her dirt bike. I would, but my problem is it's in Idaho.
Even though Paige couldn't take her dirt bikes with her, she was able to take her road bike and her mountain bike.
That road bike right there is actually the one I had in high school. Coeur d'Alene, like I said, is like a big, it's a lake, mountains, really outdoorsy. But have you guys heard of Ironman, like the triathlon?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Coeur d'Alene is actually one of the host cities for it. And so growing up, like this race just occurs every year. And so you're surrounded by people who train for these triathlons. And then you're constantly surrounded by people who are running, biking, swimming.
Ironman Coeur d'Alene was first held in June 2003 and quickly became one of North America's most scenic and beloved full-distance triathlon events. The course has a lake swim with temperatures in the mid-60s, a scenic but grueling bike ride through rolling hills, and a run with 3 lakeside loops perfect for spectators. Many triathlon world records have been set in Coeur d'Alene, making it both a memorable and challenging venue. Ironman is a grueling endurance race. It's a type of triathlon, a race combining swimming, biking, and running. Ironman originated in Hawaii with a group of Navy SEALs debating who were the fittest athletes, swimmers, bikers, or runners. The race includes a 2.4-mile swim, which is usually done in open water like a lake or ocean, a 112-mile bike ride, and a 26.2-mile run. Yep, you heard that right, a full marathon. The total distance is 140.6 miles. The race must be completed all in one day with time cutoffs at each stage. The overall time limit is usually 17 hours. In the original competition between the Navy SEALs, the winner was to be dubbed the Ironman, and the name stuck.
Road biking is a big part of the community. Hopped on them and it was just like, it's so much fun. Because then like when you get into the racing aspect of things, really close behind another bike to the point that like you're drafting, which means like you're doing less work than the person in front of you because they're blocking the wind for you. And so you can find yourself going like, we would call it slingshotting each other, but like even going downhill, you're picking up like a law speed. Let's say hypothetically you're going like 30 miles an hour down this hill. Well, when you draft, you can then slingshot. So you can come out of that pocket and then take off because you don't have that wind resistance quite yet. And so we would call it like slingshotting each other. And then you could get up to like 40 miles an hour plus doing that.
That's so fast.
Yeah, it's addicting though. It's so much fun.
Did you ever get scared going that fast?
No. So I like never got scared. The only time I got scared was these, I don't know if you can tell, but like the road bike tires are like, they're so thin.
Road bike tires are designed for speed, efficiency, and smooth handling on paved surfaces. They're usually between 23 to 32 millimeters wide. The narrower the tire, the less rolling resistance it has, which allows for faster speeds on smooth pavement. Most road bike tires have minimal or no tread and are designed for grip via the rubber contact, not tread traction like mountain bikes.
Basically, I get scared now is when it's wet outside because those tires, if you slam on your brakes, there's literally like there's no tread on them. And so they just slide on the pavement. So like one of my only like big crashes I had on a road bike was actually when it was raining outside and a car cut me off and I had to slam on my brakes and my bike slid out from under me and I actually have like nerve damage still on my left leg.
Oh my gosh.
I think what people don't realize is that road biking is like an extreme sport for that exact reason.
Everyone just focuses on the fact that they take up part of the road and it's annoying in that aspect, but it's fun.
PSA, move over for bikers.
No, actually, like in the community, people hate on the fact that like, for instance, I told you the Ironman goes on yearly. There are some people who hate bikers so much that they'll throw out tacks in the road. So when the bikes go by, yeah, their tires
That's terrible.
Just pop.
Don't
That's
be
how
doing that.
People just hate
That's
it.
for nobody.
I know. And it's so many people have gotten like clipped by like mirrors and everything because just cars just don't like moving over.
Okay, we get it. You're in a rush, you have to get to work or to your appointment on time. But think about it for a second. If you hit that biker, you're definitely going to be late and then potentially really, really hurt someone. The CDC reports that on average, nearly 1,000 bicyclists die each year in traffic crashes and over 130,000 are injured. In the United States, 44 states have move over for biker laws, which require motorists to slow down and move over when passing a cyclist.
At least in like Coeur d'Alene, they have like a try it triathlon, which is like, hey, this is like your intro into triathlon to see, how you like it. And it's just like baby distances. And then there's a sprint triathlon. And then they have the Olympic distance triathlon, which is like your standard, like when you talk about, oh, I'm doing a triathlon this weekend. Yeah, just as I grew up, it was just like, okay, like this is a normal thing in the community. So, I'm going to train and I'm going to do the triathlon. And then I'm going to do the sprint triathlon. And then I was like, okay, I'd like, might as well do the Olympic distance triathlon. But like growing up, it's just like, I also did other sports too. And so it was just being wrapped up and like being addicting basically for that like competitive feel.
If there's something you should know about Paige, it's that she's always been competitive and she's always wanted to go fast. From riding horses to dirt bikes to road bikes to flying in jets and now to being in fire trucks and ambulances speeding to help those in need, Paige has always been pushing the limit and challenging herself.
It was like when I was little, literally so I have an older sister, she's 2 years older. And it had to be over something like just super basic. And it was like, okay, like we're competing for this and like I'm going to win. And I'm the little sister. So I'm like, I'm going to throw punches to win. Then it just transferred over like as I grew up to like, okay, like what sport am I in? It's like, okay, no, I don't just want to do it for like a participation trophy. I want to do it to like win or place or something.
We asked Paige to explain how she met our other friend Maya. If you want some background on Maya, listen to episode 3.
My sophomore year of college, this was at University of Colorado Boulder. I was in Navy ROTC, and I knew a lot of people in Army ROTC. And so there was like typical like house party going on. And it's like, okay, let's go to this house party.
ROTC is the Reserve Officer Training Corps. It's a program for students to simultaneously prepare for becoming a military officer while attending college. Each branch of the military has its own ROTC program. The students enrolled in Navy ROTC are called midshipmen and commissioned into the military as officers upon graduation. Most ROTC cadets or midshipmen receive a scholarship to be able to attend school. Midshipmen have to complete military training and classes in addition to their normal academic studies. Lots of cadets and midshipmen become really close friends and hang out on weekends, throwing themed parties, or just hanging out.
I want to say it was like for Halloween. I think it was for Halloween. So this is ironic, I dressed up as a jet pilot. But it was, of course, one of those like Halloween costumes where it was kind of like a little like mini dress, but it was made out of like the green flight suit material.
It's ironic because Paige ended up becoming an EWO, an electronic warfare officer in the Navy. She flew in the back of an EA-18 Golf Growler, which is an electronic attack version of an F-18 Super Hornet. While the pilot is flying the jet, as the backseater, the EWO, Paige was responsible for actually conducting electronic attacks, which, if you're not familiar with electronic attacks, it's things like jamming enemy radar and communication systems and identifying enemy surface-to-air missile threats that could potentially take down friendly aircraft. So yeah, total baddie.
Of course, at the time, I didn't know that that was my future.
Did you want to be a pilot at that point?
I did. Specifically jets. I wanted to be like, I just wanted to, it's like what we talked about before, like always kind of going after that thing that could give me an adrenaline rush. And I just wanted to go fast. Jets were like the goal from the get-go for aviation.
Naval officers compete for their desired platform based on their grades, their aptitude, and performance. Then they are selected for a pipeline: jets, props, or helicopters. Being competitive for a desired platform takes anywhere from 6 to 7 years of working towards their goal.
Of course, like I'm 5'10", and so already like towering over most of the people in this party. And then all of a sudden I lock eyes across the room and there's another tall blonde. And I was like, oh my God, who's that?
I like those tall girls always stick together. You see another tall girl, you're like,
even from across the room, we were like,
going to be friends? Yeah. Tall girl rules.
Basically, it was like eye contact. And then it was like, do you want to be beer pong partners? And literally the rest is history. She was also dressed as Rosie the Riveter.
Oh, how cute.
Very funny that like both of us were kind of like military themed. And then both of us eventually, like we were in the military for our jobs.
If this is anyone's first episode, our girl gang consists of 6 people. And Paige was the last one that we had met through our friend Maya. And Maya was kind of the one that brought Paige in. So the story that you meeting Maya is actually like really important to our friend group.
It's really similar too to how like everyone in the girl gang like has met too. Kyra's story of, seeing another girl in her class that she was in. And it's just like, it's just funny how, these moments of like, okay, I want to meet that person. And then you become just lifelong friends.
And you just instantly click.
Yeah. And so like Maya and I basically like since sophomore year, we were hanging out. And then I found out that she was in Southern Pines. And I'm the type of person where you go separate ways, and I'm just super bad at communicating.
It's hard.
Especially when you're like fresh out of college too.
And in the military.
Yeah.
Because your schedule's so busy.
And you're so used to leaving people and having to make new friends. It just becomes a matter of like, it just becomes very difficult to keep up with all of those people.
Okay, quick intermission. If you're listening to this and an old friend you haven't talked to in ages popped into your mind, this is your sign to give them a call. I mean, finish the podcast and obviously send it to them, but give them a call.
We still follow each other on like Instagram or something, and she posted something about like Southern Pines or, North Carolina. And I was like, wait a second, like that's pretty close to where I am. And so I reached out to her, and it just became like, okay, like let's hang out. And so I want to say she came to Virginia Beach first, and then I made a couple trips to Southern Pines.
On one of Paige's visits to Southern Pines, Maya brought her to Kyra's house, and this was her official introduction to the girl gang.
We played board games.
Oh my God, we played the RBG game.
Yes.
And you brought crumble cookies. And that was the first time I had crumble cookies.
Because we don't have crumble here.
Oh yeah, we instantly fell in love with you.
The first time we met Paige, we were all in on convincing her to join our girl gang. She's funny, smart, driven, and has the sweetest heart. Plus, she showed up to girls' game night with a huge pink box full of crumble cookies. A move that will forever go down in the girl gang history books as nothing less than legendary.
Crumble Cookies are a popular American chain known for their large gourmet cookies. They have a weekly rotating menu with new flavors. Crumble did not pay us to say this. They are seriously super delicious, but if you ever do want to sponsor us, Crumble Cookies, count us in. We accept payments in cookies only.
How did you end up in Virginia Beach?
So I needed to do a shore tour, which for like Navy speak, you do a sea tour, meaning you like go on deployment with your squadron. And then when you come back and you do a certain amount of time, then you transition to a shore tour, which is more of a staff job. So essentially it was just like working at a desk and everything. And at that point, I knew I wanted to like get out for that shore tour. I went to Virginia Beach, and then my plan was to initially like move back west, but then the fire department was hiring in the fall, and then I wasn't quite ready to leave because I wanted to stay like this sounds stupid, but I wanted to stay at my CrossFit gym for a little bit more because it's a very competitive gym. And so as an athlete, you can progress like really well at this gym. And so I wasn't quite ready to like let go of that yet.
After getting out of the military, Paige attended the fire academy.
Obviously, because we are her friends, it wouldn't be right without bragging about her just a little bit.
According to the National Fire Protection Association, right now in America, approximately 9% of all firefighters are women. Of that, only 4% are career firefighters like Paige. She was selected to be the president of her academy class, and she gave the speech at their graduation. Earlier, when she said she is always going after the difficult things, she wasn't kidding. Paige is the type of girl who lives for type 2 fun. Proof of that is her love for CrossFit. How did you get into CrossFit?
My first very introduction to it was actually in high school, and the CrossFit gym at the time was offering basically like a high school conditioning camp essentially during the summertime. And so that was kind of like my first taste of CrossFit, and I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. In college, my senior year, I was kind of training to do one of those, those like bikini, almost bodybuilder type competitions.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was training to do one of those, And it got to the point where I was like, I want to say I was like 11% body fat, which for a girl, that's really low. Even at like 11% body fat, my coach at the time was like, hey, like, we need to fix this. We need to fix this. Like, hey, from your progress pictures, like, I don't like the way this is looking. Even as a senior in college, I was like being told this and saying like, hey, even at 11% body fat, like, there's still more that we need to change. It really messed with my mind. One of my friends at the time knew it was kind of like messing with me. And he was like, hey, like, come with me to this CrossFit gym. Just do one class with me and, see if that, like changes your mind or gives you a new perspective on fitness. So I did. And I went to this one class and I was like, you know what? Like, F this bodybuilding stuff. I want to do CrossFit.
Paige had to put her CrossFit on hold during her flight school, but ever since we have known her, CrossFit has always been a huge part of her life. She picked it back up when she was stationed in Washington and continued it during her shore tour in Virginia Beach.
Their like slogan is constantly varied functional fitness. But the constantly varied part is one aspect of it that really drew me to it because like if you think about it, I call it bro lifting. Like the back buys, chest tries, like it's just like your push and pull. And that's basically it. And it gets very monotonous and very boring. Sorry to everyone else who does that. But in my opinion, it just gets boring.
At its core, CrossFit is a fitness methodology that combines elements from weightlifting, gymnastics, and cardio. Like Paige says, it's built around the idea of constantly varied, functional movements performed at high intensity. So, what does that mean? Constantly varied means the workouts change every single day, so your body never adapts and gets lazy, i.e., not boring bro lifting. Functional movements mimic real-life actions. Think squatting, like sitting down, lifting, like picking up groceries, or jumping. Okay, I'll admit, I don't really jump that often in everyday life. I guess being chased by a bear? I'm not sure. And last but not least, high intensity means you're pushing hard. You might do a short 10-minute all-out effort or grind through a 30-minute endurance circuit. These daily workouts are called WODs. That stands for Workout of the Day, and each WOD might be scaled up or down depending on your fitness level.
And then when I actually started getting the basic like knowledge and foundation for the movements, then I dabbled in, okay, like let me try this like competition thing. And I was like, oh wow, this is fun.
CrossFit competitions are like fitness decathlons on steroids. Athletes go head to head in events that test everything from strength, speed, endurance, coordination, agility, mental toughness, you name it. The competitions can be done as part of a team or solo. Every CrossFit competition is designed to answer one question: who is the fittest on earth? It kind of makes sense why Paige loves it so much.
I always like the individual factor because in a team, essentially, in most workouts, you get rest and then obviously like you're sharing the workload. But in an individual competition, I always tell people you learn the most about yourself doing that individual competition. It's addicting because you go through, you're voluntary, like putting yourself through this amount of pain. And in the end, you're like, oh my God, that was so much fun. I want to do that again.
Remember what we said earlier about Paige loving type 2 fun? Type 1 is fun while you're doing it. Type 2 fun is fun after the fact. And type 3 fun, it's just never fun.
The workouts that leave me gasping for air on the floor afterwards, that's the kind of workouts where I'm like, yes, like, give me more. CrossFit has this stigma attached to it where a lot of people, if you talk to them and they've never done CrossFit before, they're like, oh, I can't do that. Like, I could never do that. One thing that's really important about CrossFit is, like I said, you can scale anything. In a CrossFit workout where you're like, oh my gosh, I can't do that. It's not true. You can. You just need to scale it. And you need to scale it properly. And so people get scared by like people throwing these weights around and everything. I'm like, no. Just go to the gym and talk to someone and they can like tell you like, no, you can do these things.
Since leaving the military, Paige also started coaching CrossFit.
I got out of the Navy in March of 2023. And I was like, you know what? Like, this would be a good time for me to like coach. And like, for me, CrossFit is something I'm very passionate about in a way that like I'm not elite by any means, but it's something that like it means a lot to me. It's something that I try and involve in my daily life. And for me to be able to share that like passion with people and to help people progress. And not to mention like the coaches there help me become an average athlete into a above average athlete. And it's like the ability for me to share a passion and then also see people like rise up and up and up in their skills is something that's so like gratifying. It's like I could literally do that every day for free and I would like be totally fine with it. I just asked Ben, who's the gym owner, and for people who are familiar with CrossFit, they'll recognize his name, but Ben Smith, he was the 2015 Games champion.
Ben Smith won the CrossFit Games in Carson, California in 2015. He co-founded and leads CrossFit Krypton in Virginia.
And he's a phenomenal athlete and a phenomenal human being, like the most humble person you'll ever meet. I asked him, I was like, hey, like, what do you think about me coaching or trying to get into coaching? He's like, yeah. And I was like, okay. And there's a lot of knowledgeable coaches at this gym. And so just daily I was going to each coach and shadowing them in classes. And then finally it progressed to, okay, now you're shadowing. Okay, take the reins on this part. Let's see how you do. And then, okay, now flip flop. So you're going to coach the entire class and I'm going to stand back here and watch what you do. Once it got to a point of like, okay, like we think you're ready, then it was just like, boom, off you go. And you're coaching classes. So I still coach to this day and I just try to work it around like my work schedule.
If you're thinking about trying CrossFit and want Paige as your coach, here is how she describes her coaching.
I just got told this the other day. I bring golden retriever energy.
I'm shocked.
I'm not
shocked. I'm not shocked.
We knew this.
Prime example, I coached Tuesday morning. I coached the 5 a.m. and the 6 a.m. class. So this is early. And I turned on in the middle of the 5 a.m. workout. I put on Kesha, Your Love Is My Drug. And I stood up on top of a box and I was just like, And it's like, needed. Yeah, well, it's exactly like little things like that. Some people are like, okay, this girl's an idiot, but also like the effect that it has on people of like, okay, like let's get energized. This beat is awesome. Like I feel life renewed in me. I'm going to lift this weight and I'm also going to have a good time doing it. Like that is what I'm trying to go for. Like, I don't care if I look like an idiot, if it's making other people's day and they like are busting out dance moves in the middle of a workout, I would say like my job here is done.
If they're signing up for a 5 a.m. CrossFit class, they want pumped up. They want that. They want a hype girl.
Or do they want pain?
They want both.
Honestly, these people are my heroes because they are lifting heavy weight at like 5:30 a.m. I'm like, I don't know how you guys do that. For me personally, I'm like, I need a little like warm up. I could go for a run or do something cardio based that early, but lifting heavy weight at 5:30 a.m., I'm just like, nope, I'm good.
For the past year, Paige has been dealing with not one, not two, but 3 knee surgeries as a result of an injury that happened on the job as a firefighter. We asked her to share how it has been dealing with the surgeries and her recovery.
It's been, without sugarcoating anything, like it's been a F-bomb roller coaster. I was like, I don't know if cussing's allowed on this.
we beep it out.
Okay. It's a roller coaster. So that first surgery was in April. And like the first expectation there was, it was literally like a 6-week recovery. And, then I would be back and running and doing everything. And so my mindset after that surgery, I was still like very good spirits. I'm the type of person where even after a surgery, like I'll give myself a few days rest, but I'll go back to the gym. Even being injured, you can still do a workout and still get a workout and in a safe manner given an injury. And so that's a really common misconception, by the way, is like even with an injury, like I can't go to a CrossFit gym. After that first surgery, basically like that 6-week mark came around and my knee was not good, not up to par. It was my kneecap. You literally could see it like stop at a certain point and then click back into place because it would catch. And I kept telling my surgeon, I was like, this isn't normal. What I'm feeling right now this is not how it felt prior. He kind of just kept kicking the can down the road contributing, like he was saying that it was because of quad strength.
You're like, excuse me, sir, have you seen my quads?
Like, your legs are so strong.
Me and
The
Kyra over
audacity.
here are so
we,
shocked.
we are literally
We are
in shock.
speechless.
Basically, it was like 6 months down the road. He kept saying quad strength. And I was like, okay, dude, at this point, we are 6 months in. I was like, look at my quad. Like, I have a quad. It is not quad strength. So finally, I went to a different surgeon and he's like, oh, yeah, something's going on here. And so I had a second surgery in November. The initial plan was like, hey, we're going to repair the cartilage that kind of got, f***ed up in the first surgery. Well, when they went in and discovered essentially the extent of the damage, they didn't have essentially the proper size cartilage to fix it.
Without the cartilage, Paige had to wait for a donor. She got added to a list and had to wait for 4 months.
After that first surgery, I was still in like pretty good spirits. I was going to the gym. August timeframe, when I knew things were like wrong, that's when like at least my mental capacity, it just kind of, I would say in a manner of speaking, it tanked. And then I just had some life stuff happen in October that was kind of like the last straw for me. I lost kind of the motivation, basically like to keep fighting in the recovery aspect of things. You take all of that combined, now it's like, okay, I'm going to be injured for an even longer amount of time. And my mental state, like I said, just crashed. Like the gym is a big part of my life. And I think it says a lot where after that second surgery, I didn't go back to the gym for probably, I think it was close to 3 months. And it just got to the point where like I couldn't really find things that I felt passionate about.
We wanted to take a second to talk a little about injuries and mental health. For people like Paige who love working out, competing, and pushing the limit physically, it can be extremely challenging mentally when that is suddenly taken away. For people like firefighters, police officers, and the military, having to be on light duty only adds to the mental stress, feelings of depression, and isolation. The sudden loss of routine, community, and sometimes even purpose can trigger anxiety, hopelessness, and potentially even an identity crisis. We haven't heard this talked about very much in popular media. In this next segment, Paige continues to share about her journey through her surgeries and some other heartbreaking life events she went through in the past year. If you're in a similar space, you're not alone. We've also linked some resources in our show notes.
When I was cleared to start biking, I even tried doing some like spinning classes in Peloton. And so I was like, okay, like this is fun. Like I kind of feel happy about doing this. Basically more life stuff happened right when I essentially got the call of like, okay, your cartilage is available. You're going to have surgery in 2 weeks. Like I said, another life thing happened and I was like, like I can't catch a break. Made that call that, like all girls in our 30s were like, I can't believe I'm about to make this call. But I was like, Mom, like I need help. At that point, like my mom flew out. This was going to be the most extensive surgery. I'm going to need literally like it's my driving leg and it's locked in full extension post-surgery. With this type of surgery, it's non-weight bearing for the first 2 months. That was probably one of the lowest because it was just a lot of crying, a lot of feeling helpless. But then once it got to the point of like, okay, like I can heal from this. Like I can do this. I can't let myself do what I did after surgery number 2. Even being on crutches, non-weight bearing, in a brace, I was like, I'm going to the gym. I'm still light duty. Even now, like I can't do a air squat. I can't go upstairs normally yet. So I'm still very limited, but mentally I don't feel limited, if that makes sense. A big mental shift had to happen. And also it was a lot of like self-exploring too, like, okay, like I need to learn a lot about myself and I need to change the way I approach things and think through things. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of crying. There's a lot of wine involved. There's a lot of girls' nights.
We love a girls' night.
Love a girls' night.
But all of that like helped me kind of like crawl out of this hole that I was in from surgery 1, 2, and 3. Honestly, right now, like I'm finally feeling, without sugarcoating it, like I'm finally feeling happy again because I straight up was depressed and I wasn't happy. There wasn't things like that would give me a spark. And so now it's like, okay, like I'm finally feeling like Paige Kelly again, even though physically, I'm not like the Paige Kelly level I would like to be at, but at least it's like, okay, I'm happy. I have a great group of girlfriends that have my back, and I'm like going to the gym, and I just keep telling myself like, you are moving, and that's what matters, and you'll see progress, like eventually down the road. But every day it's like there's small little progress that I try to remind myself it's happening. For lack of better words, it's been exhausting. And then you take into the work aspect of it, and I mean, essentially by the end of this recovery, it would be a year and a half of dealing with this injury and being light duty in the fire department. The light duty aspect, like I said, multiple life factors going on that knocked me off the horse. And then the 3 knee surgeries. And it was just like, it's been like a crazy year.
Can you guess the advice Paige would give herself a year ago?
Don't date. Don't date younger men.
Yeah. PSA to all women out there.
Yeah.
How young is too young, Paige?
Before bros.
Always.
Because that was a big factor. And then I would say, like, rely when you feel lost, when you feel like there's, like, no way you can crawl out. Like, truly rely on the people who are in your corner. Like, the girl gang was literally one of my saving graces during this time. And especially, I mean, you guys had me, like, virtually, in Southern Pines, but especially, like, Maya during this time. She dealt with a lot of my crying and everything. And it's okay to not be okay. And it's okay to show that, because that's one thing growing up that it was like, don't be weak. Don't show that, you're hurting. Don't show any of that. And so to finally be able to be like, 1, I am not okay. And 2, like, I'm going to show this emotion that I'm not okay. You have to let that out. As a human being, you cannot keep that up for instance, my recovery, a year and a half. You can't keep that inside for a year and a half and be healthy. Mm-hmm. So rely on the people, talk to people, and don't be afraid to show emotion. Honestly, like, without the people who are in my corner, without my family, it would have been awful. And I mean, don't get me wrong, it still was awful, but friends and family and being able to communicate like, hey, I'm not okay. Knowing that no matter what, like, the people in your corner are cheering for you and they're going to help pick you back up no matter how many times you get knocked down.
I know you're kind of joking about don't date younger men, but having people in your life who are genuinely mature enough to, when you do say things like, hey, I'm not okay right now, they're not just like, oh, you've changed. Instead, they're like, okay, yeah, I understand, right? This is a current state that you're in due to like other factors in your life, and work to help pick you up, versus just like, oh, you've changed, so I'm just going to go do my own thing and abandon you.
I 100% agree. One of the things that happened is one of my like best friends died in a jet crash. And I remember the weekend that they decided, yeah, they for sure are gone and not ejected. Like, that support wasn't quite there for me.
In October 2024, Paige's friend Lindsay, who Paige knew from her time in the Navy, was tragically killed in an aircraft accident. Like Paige, Lindsay was an electronic warfare officer. She had 2 sea tours under her belt and had earned the respect of the Growler community for her tactile expertise. In 2023, Lindsay was a part of the all-female Super Bowl flyover, a historic moment marking 50 years of women flying in the Navy. This is just one of Lindsay's many notable career highlights. After completing the 12-week Havoc graduate-level course at NAS Fallon, essentially the Top Gun of the Growler community, Lindsay earned the responsibility of becoming a Growler tactics instructor. Lindsay was a highly skilled, combat-decorated naval flight officer, but more importantly, she was a role model, a trailblazer, and a friend. Paige was dealing with the recovery of her injuries, the death of one of her best friends, and unfortunately, during this time, there were people Paige thought she could count on who didn't show up when she needed it.
Should have been eye-opening at the time, but of course, like, that was what I had to deal with. And at that point, like, it was my norm. And it's like, okay, like, I need to realize it's another thing too, of like the life lessons that you learn from dating different people, like, okay, in your worst position, is that person going to be there for you? Or like, after, let's say, the worst part is done, are they there for you because they saw you at your worst? Basically, what happened to me is after all that happened, it was like, whoa, that was a lot. You're not really the same person.
When they're only in it for like when it's sunshine and rainbows, and they're like not in it when it gets tough.
Yeah.
I'm
So,
sorry that you had to go through that.
yeah, it was rough. But like I said, girl gang.
Okay, let me rant for a second. Let's talk about the people who are only around when you're at your best, or when you can do something for them, or when you don't need anything. Just because you don't need anything most of the time doesn't mean you don't deserve everything. Being generally low maintenance doesn't mean it's okay for people to neglect you. You shouldn't have to be at 100% to deserve support. When you do need something and those same people suddenly tell you that's a lot, or you're too much, or you're too needy, or too sensitive, or too emotional, or too whatever, tell them to go find less. You don't need to water down how you feel, or soften your needs, or pretend you don't care as deeply as you do to be loved and supported. The right people won't just tolerate your lows, they'll be there with you through them. The same people who tell you you're too much when you're down are the people who say things like you're too loud or too intense or too ambitious when you're at your high and you're leaving them behind. Again, tell them, go find less. Go find someone less ambitious, or someone who doesn't work as hard, or someone who's going to fit into their little box. It's very easy to go find less, so go for it. If people drift away when you're struggling, let them. It clears space for people who are really there for you and cheering for you, even if there is nothing to celebrate. Okay, rant over. Let's talk about some of the people who were there for Paige. Earlier this year, Paige was a judge for the CrossFit Open at her gym.
So honestly, that was one of the first things that got me back into the gym. So I'm like super thankful about that. But if you're not familiar with the CrossFit realm, every year around like the end of February timeframe, we have what's called the CrossFit Open. For the elite athletes, it's a big deal, but for the like general CrossFit community, it is a great way of just bringing the people together, but also kind of adding in that like competitive aspect to it.
Okay, back to talking about CrossFit competitions. At the highest level, you've got the CrossFit Games, aka the Super Bowl of fitness. Let's break it down from the beginning. At the lowest level, you have the CrossFit Open. This is the starting point for everyone. It's a 3-week global online competition where athletes from all levels, from workout moms in their garage to elite pros, complete the same workouts and submit scores online. It's open to literally anyone with Wi-Fi and a barbell. Lots of gyms will also host CrossFit Opens. Quarterfinals and semifinals. Top athletes from the Open advance to these next rounds. The field narrows, the workouts get harder, and performance becomes everything. These are more exclusive and often held in regional events around the world. Lastly, the CrossFit Games. The top athletes in the world battle it out across 4 to 5 days of brutal events. Past workouts have included swimming in lakes, biking up mountains, deadlifting insane amounts, and climbing in ropes in over 100-degree heat. No one knows what the events will be until they're announced, sometimes just hours in advance.
So the Open was going on, and my mom was in town as well, like helping me post-surgery. And this was her first year CrossFitting, and she's like, hey, I signed up for the Open. And I was like, oh my gosh, like we need to get you
Your
to
mom
the gym.
CrossFits?
Yes, and she is.
I loved meeting her. She's so sweet.
You met her?
Yeah, I met her when I went up to Maya's, and it was right before your third surgery, right? Right after.
Right after. Yeah, she is the tiniest human being. She's like, what, 5'3"?
Yeah, she's real tiny. We were doing like a little girl chat in the morning. We were just all drinking coffee, and your mom joined.
Yes.
It was so fun.
She signed up for the Open, which, like I said, like no matter if you just started or you're a pro, you still do, if you sign up, like the Open. I was like, oh my gosh, mom, like we need to get you to the gym so you can do this. In the evening on Friday, they'll do the Friday Night Lights, which is like the music is pumping, you know, everyone's there cheering each other on. Some people like dress up in costumes. So it's like just that big like community competitive atmosphere. Mom, like Friday Night Lights, we're taking you, you're doing this workout. I'm being chauffeured by mom. Shout out to mom. I crutch in the gym, like my leg is wrapped, I'm in the brace. Immediately, Ben comes over and he's like, hey, can you judge? And I was like, okay. It's just funny in the aspect of I literally like the mental image for anyone who just listens to this. It's literally, I'm on crutches. My leg is in like locked in full extension. It's wrapped because it still has like the ooze and stuff from surgery. And I'm in the brace. And I am crutching, trying to hold on to a clipboard and then follow athletes around the gym to count their reps and make sure that like their form is good and everything. Really comical. But then it was so cool because when my mom went, I got to judge my mom. And so there's like pictures and videos of me judging my mom. Not too many people can be like, yeah, my mom CrossFits, I CrossFit, and I got to judge my mom while she did the CrossFit Open.
I wonder if anyone can say that.
I know.
It just almost felt like one of those pinch me moments of like, this is awesome. Like what, like something I am so passionate about. And now my mom is doing it and I get to like cheer her on and judge her in this big moment for her because this is her first open and everything. And so it was really like everyone was making fun of me of like, hey, Paige, you couldn't stop smiling. And I was like, I know, because this is so cool. It threw me in there. And, you know, it's one of the things, I mean, you can say like that saves me or whatever, you know, but it's just like it kept my mental state going in the right direction.
Mom saves the day.
Mom saves the day.
If you want to see some cute pictures of Paige and her mom during the CrossFit Open, check out our Instagram page. Before we end this episode, we had to ask Paige the question we have all been wondering since we met her.
Have you always been fit as
All right, you ready to hear the truth? There I was, the little freshman in college.
Was she fit as
No.
I don't believe that.
I don't believe that for a
I don't
second.
believe that.
The freshman 50, everyone. The freshman 50.
No.
Yes, it got me good. And you know
From
why it
what?
got me good? So we all know I love cookies.
Was it
Crumble.
the crumble? Was crumble a thing at that point?
It was not crumble. It was so at Colorado Boulder, everyone who went there knows about the C4C, which is basically this building. And in this building, you have like one of our cafeterias. And in this cafeteria, they went by like region. And it was basically types of food. And then they had a dessert section. And in that dessert section, guess what they had? Warm, gooey cookies.
Are cookies your favorite dessert?
Yes.
What flavor of crumble do you think is the best?
Oh my God. They make a Buckeye cookie. And do you know what a Buckeye is?
I know it's peanut butter and caramel, right?
It's like, no, so it's not caramel. It's peanut butter and powdered sugar. And then it's dipped in chocolate. And so it's literally deliciousness in a ball.
We still don't believe that Paige wasn't always extremely fit, but if you're wondering how she balances her love for warm, gooey cookies and somehow still has six-pack abs, here's her secret.
You know, that intro to CrossFit really helped with body image. I call myself like thick with two C's, but like my body can do some cool shit. When I'm like training, double sessions and whatever, like my output is a lot higher. I have what's called fatter days. And actually the inception of fatter days was with my friend Lindsay, who was the one involved in that jet crash. We told each other, okay, we're going to eat healthy, but every Saturday we're going to have a meal where we just live. It was called Fatter Day.
Did you ever get crumble with Lindsay?
No, because crumble wasn't a popular thing at that time.
I feel
Oh,
like she would have loved.
she would have loved crumble. What do you think her flavor would be?
Oh, man. That's a tough one. There's so many options. I feel like even some of the like the cake ones she would have loved. But honestly, I think even like the classic pink sugar cookie too. But man, yeah, she would have loved crumble.
Whatever you have planned for Saturday, cancel it. We're celebrating Fatter Day in honor of Paige and Lindsay. Paige reflected on how her own fitness journey and her experiences with injury and recovery have shaped her coaching.
No matter like what point that person is at in their career, I don't know what you call it.
Journey?
Their
Fitness
CrossFit journey. Yes, in their fitness journey. I have been, and a lot of people have been at each point in that journey. Mentally, okay, the kind of struggles that person is going through. What kind of motivation specifically does this person need? Not like the group as a whole, but what motivation does this person need in order to, get that little extra push?
That wraps up today's episode of Shelaborate. Keep checking back for more updates on Paige and her recovery. Paige, we're cheering for you and can't wait to see what you do next.
Thanks for being on our show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thanks for listening to Shelaborate. We can't wait to bring you more episodes.
Don't forget to follow, like, and drop us a review. Our episodes are available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Patreon.
If you liked the show, post it on your social media and pass it along. Women supporting women is the whole point.
We'll be back next week with more opinions, more stories, and more Shelaboration.
Until then, I'm Kat.
And I'm Tyra. This podcast is for the girls.